Welcome to Unfortunates Hockey. We are the Unfortunates. You got Tim Plamanen, you got Bryce Thornton, you got Brendan McGonigal, and you have Tanner Gordon. We're here to talk about some Oilers and things around the leagues. So first up, I just want to ask you guys a base question. Just to get started, I want to ask you individually what you think Arcobello's shooting percentage is for the year. Tanner?
He owes them a shooting percentage. He's negative at this point. He can't hit the net to save his life.
Bryce?
4.5.
Brendan?
Well, it's going to be high. It's going to be high because everything's wide or it's top shelf.
Probably shooting about 4.5%.
So we got an agreement between those two.
The correct answer is 5.1%.
Oh, wow,
That
that's
was pretty
low.
close.
That's a low percentage.
Was that one of the lowest in the NHL? Is that why you're bringing that up?
Well, I think if you look at Taylor Fadoon, he's shooting 33%, and he's like in the top of the league, but he's only
Yeah,
taking
but he's
two shots.
in the minors.
Yeah, he's also
Yeah.
in the minors.
You scored
which-
2 goals on 3 shots, you get sent down. That's how it works. in
That's
this
how it works in the
organization.
Oilers.
Or you get benched in the third period after you get 2 points.
Yeah, well, maybe they should send some people who are more deserving of it down.
Yeah, but what's his assist percentage?
That's well played
Oh,
right there.
no. Scrambling now.
I don't think they have a stat for
You
that
gotta
yet.
It's a rhetorical
They will
question.
soon. It must be in Corsi somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere. in
Somebody send a tweet to Travis Yost and see if he has the answer for that.
Yeah.
there. MC79 Hockey will be all over that. He's all about the Corsi. So let's talk about the power play then. We've had huge issues with the power play. First of all, is anyone in favor of having the 5 forwards on the power play?
Weren't we 10 for 11 on the first 11 or something crazy stat like that for the when they first put it together?
My
Does anybody know the answer to that?
What the
percent?
Um,
I'll-
it
I'll
was
look
good.
into that right
That-
now.
It started good, and then it kind of went off the rails at some point. Not sure
my
why.
issue with having five, well, not necessarily the issue with having 5 forwards. Is our problem is like we almost have to have 5 forwards at most situations on the ice. I think because of our defense is just the core is not strong enough.
But last year we
I mean-
played Schultz on the point
Yeah,
all
but
year.
Schultz should be the
Well,
only defenseman. He should play the
Yeah.
full 2 minutes for sure. There should be 4 forwards and Schultz
I
should be on
mean,
the D
if
for
you
the full
got
2 minutes.
Yakupov in a role like sort of like how Ovechkin sits on top of the hash marks, he's got the shot, he can do it. Give him the ice time, give him the experience. Let's see what he can do, right?
See, at the beginning of the year, they had Yakupov kind of the top of the circle on the right side, and he missed that shot probably 15
But it was.
times.
I thought it was more of the pass. I thought a lot of those passes
Might
you were
be.
getting were not in his wheelhouse. Like last year, it wasn't. Remember, Nuge didn't start the year with us, and that's who was passing to him last year for those one-timers. And we got Hemsky here, can't make a pass, can't get himself traded out of Edmonton.
Gagne throws it at the feet
But
all the
back
time.
back to your question here, the 5 forwards. I really liked it, and Jonathan Toews burns us once short-handed. He burns most teams in this league at any situation of hockey, and they leave the 5-on-5. It's done.
And on that
That's the
play,
only
that
chance they
specific
get.
play,
Yeah.
you can't really blame Yakupov because
No,
the
it
puck
was
got poked
exactly.
forward, and Yakupov, you see him plant, and then you see him try. He's going to move for it, and by that time, Toews is already gone.
That seems to be Aiken's way of doing things. As soon as one experiment, as soon as there's one mess up, it's done. They don't get
Well,
any
I-
chemistry built. They don't get any play set up. They do one thing for a game. It doesn't work, and that's it for it.
And you know what I don't like about that is like lines, like some of the most popular lines in hockey, like particularly me, like the A line in New Jersey. That doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Like it took a lot of meshing and gelling and getting it right, even in practice, before something like that came about. Now I'm not comparing that.
And then you
to
just
a-
toss Yager in on any line in
Yeah.
hockey,
Yeah.
he can score.
I'm not comparing that to us right now, but at the same time, we need to try something. We need to get it going, and by fumbling all the time, that's not really
Here's a
the point for success.
right after our game from Florida, after we did the 7-0 game against Columbus and we beat up on Florida, Edmonton Journal's talking about how the Oilers' power play is suddenly dangerous again with a barrel full of power play goals in the last 2 games. And he actually has a line that says, "Thank goodness for the new formation. It lasted 1 more game."
Mm-hmm.
We beat up on 2 teams. We're completely dominant, and then it gets cut. That's how I feel about a 5
Well,
forward.
didn't we have
If it works, you keep it.
like we had Gagne, Hall, and Yakupov there for a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, they
And
were
then-
playing together as a second line unit as well because they had Nuge, Perron, and Eberle.
Well, there's
front.
another topic
Yeah,
is
it's-
Hall and Yakupov together. Hall and Yakupov finished last year by scoring a hat trick each. Yakupov had 5 goals in his last 2 games. And, I call those, those are garbage games at the end of the year where it's against, it doesn't matter for us and the teams aren't playing all their best players. But at the end of the day, they were the most dominant line on the ice on either team. This year, our coach comes in, didn't do his homework on that line at all, had no idea they'd played together. Doesn't use them until we're, 30 games into the season now? They play together, and they're putting up tons of points again, playing together. These guys have chemistry.
Yeah.
whatever you want to define as chemistry in this league, go ahead. But these two guys have chemistry together, and you know what? They just wreak havoc. They don't make the great passes, but they can both shoot, and they have a ton of compete, and it works.
And
you know what? I wish I would have
Yeah.
liked to seen that to start the year.
And
Like-
speed.
And
the
speed,
big thing
yeah.
is, why do they keep? It almost seems to me like they're just trying to force something out of Hemsky. Like we've had that opportunity to do that for the last 10 years, and here we are sitting, and they keep forcing him into the top 6, into these
Yeah.
situations where he gives the puck away a lot.
So I have a question for you guys. Who wants to re-sign Hemsky at the end of the year?
Crickets.
Yeah. Shouldn't have
there's not
started the
much.
year here.
Wow.
And
That ship-
that was
that ship sunk.
Craig Matavich's
That ship
second,
sunk a few years ago.
See,
second failure of the day there at the trade deadline was not moving Hemsky after losing out on the Corey Schneider
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah, that trade. Let's revisit that trade for a second. So the rumor trade was our 7th overall pick, which turned out to be Darnell Nurse, Martin Marinson, who we're all pretty fond of, but yet another young prospect, and I believe a 2nd-round pick.
They wanted both second
They
round
wanted
picks.
both?
And that's what was too steep of a price is they wanted both second round picks.
For Corey
That-
Schneider.
You know, those are rumors we're talking about, speculations, hard to say what the truth is there, but I do that trade 100% of the time.
Now, Bryce, you're a resident New Jersey Devils expert. How's Corey Schneider doing this year?
not as good as Marty, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like
He hasn't
you
got a
said,
whole lot of
I don't know
help,
if he's
though.
playing better.
Um,
The team's always been more confident with
you know
Marty
what,
in the
though?
net.
Yeah.
That's definitely a huge thing. There's a huge advantage when Marty's behind them, but I think it's one of those processes where they're adapting, right? Luongo, you know, he's got an elite status as a goalie. I feel personally,
For sure he does.
but he had it different with Luongo in Vancouver because it was always like a jive between who's starting this game, who's starting that game, and there's always this media pressure and that sort of thing. But there's a different sort of expertise that he's getting from Marty in New Jersey, right? And if anything, I think this is the best way for him to learn, like how to branch out.
And the decor in Vancouver is significantly better than the Devils,
Yeah.
I think.
yes,
Right
yeah,
now.
right now,
Yeah.
for
Right
sure.
now it
yeah.
is, yeah, for sure. They got a lot of guys in the
Yeah.
pipeline.
It's so much better for him in the long term playing it in New Jersey too than Vancouver. Look at the way they've treated Luongo over the last 5 years. The Vancouver province has completely killed this guy's wanting to play there and play NHL hockey. At one point, he looked at getting out of his contract. No
It's
matter if it
disgusting.
cost him 3 years of retirement and then he could re-sign
So-
with the team, he looked at those
So
options.
what do we have to do to make
So-
Dubnyk get rid of out of his contract?
Yeah, he's out of his contract at the end of the year. He's a UFA.
But he still has value in the
But
league.
he's a UFA though at the end of the year. If they can't trade him at the deadline or they don't try to, what do you do with him at the end of the year?
So
There's gonna be
let's
teams
think about
calling.
that. Let's
There's
think
gonna
about
be
possible.
teams.
Yeah.
Let's talk about goaltending then for a second because we've got Dubnyk right now because Brizgalov is still out, but he's looking to be back pretty soon. If you look at our goaltending depth in general, Brizgalov is obviously our number one right now, followed
But
by
Dubnyk
maybe
says
Bachman
he's a number
because
one.
Dubnyk is not a number one.
That-
Bryce,
that
I know
guy-
you have a
Goal
raging
against
something
Boston
for
tonight.
Bachman, but
Well, Bachman, like, I mean, his statistics might not back it up all the way, but like when he was in the minors, he really lit it up. Like he had that same poise that a lot of goaltenders had around his age before they broke out a couple years later and became that all-star goalie, right?
Right.
What I think would be an awesome situation, would be really cool to try out, would be hopefully if we can anyone can stay healthy, if we can have Brizgala and Bachman and try that out.
do you think Brizgalov is willing to re-sign with Edmonton?
I think he is.
I think
I think
so.
he's really enjoying it. I
I
watched
think he's
online on the Oilers. He went to the Stollery.
yeah.
He's going on those things that he doesn't have to, right? Those are volunteer things that
Yeah.
you don't have to, especially if you're a loner goalie.
Yeah.
And he's doing it. He's becoming already part of the community. He's talking to the media on a regular basis, and it looks like the guys are really liking him in the room. I think if he's offered one, if he plays well down the stretch, I think he stays for 2 more years.
Is
Well, I
he-
think he's eyeing it up as a kind of like a sure thing. Like he sees the competition in Edmonton and goes, well, I'm number one, no matter what.
Well, yeah.
You
And he's like, I could just steal this number one job, no
Exactly.
problem.
Yeah,
I
right?
think he's
I think
kind
it's
of
the same
upset
way.
by like looking at his demeanor and what everyone's talked about. Everyone when he came into the Edmonton market, everyone talked about is he going to be the same guy that he was in Philadelphia and how 24/7 really made him out to be some kind of like
Nut
Mr.
job.
Universe. Yeah, he's some kind of
Yeah.
nut
Mr.
job.
Universe.
But he comes
Yeah.
into Edmonton and he's been like everyone's saying he's been very normal, very calm.
Well, what's hilarious about
He
all
looks
of
like a
this,
number one that way. He looks like a veteran goalie
his
being
save
calm.
percentage was still above 900 last year. He had
Yeah,
a winning
he was.
record. You got to
Yeah.
remember things like this. How the hell does no team sign him or take that chance, right?
It's
he just
like
got bought out,
He's
right?
made to look like that. Like he
I know,
was
but
made out
it's
to
like-
look like a
it's
nut
like
job.
for
It's
him to
amazing
actually
what
get this
video editing
chance-
can do to you.
That
Yes.
might be the gem, and
think-
especially with the Oilers organization that are known for second chances. I think he might be the perfect guy.
I think how much, like, I think he matured through that in the last probably half year over realizing all of this, that wow, Edmonton took me on. You know what? I'm gonna bust my ass, and I think he has actually been trying very hard.
So we've
Let's
got
break this down then. Yeah.
we've got Brizgalov. I think we're all in agreement that he's our clear number 1 right now.
And I
We
think
would
we're
love
all
to resign
agreeing
him.
that we'd have him resign. I think
We'd have
all
him
of us would
resign.
like him. Yeah.
So then we've got. I mean, it's a toss up. Really, you say Dubnyk is your number 2 because he's played the most.
Because he's got the experience.
He's
got
our
the
most tradable goalie asset.
He's a
right
tradable
now.
goalie asset, but what's his value?
Mm.
UFA
His
26,
value's a
27.
defenseman.
He
His-
has
his
not.
value's a defenseman.
What's his
And
save
it might
percent?
be
What's
a
his save
prospect.
percentage right now?
Right
I
now,
mean,
his save
right now is
percentage
his
like
Here-
8.6,
here's-
8.7.
Here's,
low eight.
here's
Worse
my
than that.
dream.
Low.
My dream scenario here, because his value is so low, we might just get a prospect for him at this point. Honestly, and it might be a write-off season by the trade deadline already. Is Griffin Reinhardt, who hasn't really got a chance from the Islanders. The Oilers love this guy. He plays for the Oil Kings. They've seen him play for 3 years, and he's done really well. He hasn't got a chance to step into the league yet. He's a 4th overall pick in the Islanders system. Who needs a goalie more than the Islanders in this league? Nobody. Nobody
was-
needs a goalie more than they do.
You know
and
what?
Dubnyk's young enough to fit with their core. I think that's my dream scenario of where he goes.
It's a good dream scenario. Is it a reality?
Can you get him for
You
it?
know,
right?
Yeah.
like
Well, are they willing to give it
realistically-
up? Do they need a goalie
Package
that
Gagne?
bad?
Realistically,
Yeah.
he could fall into a backup situation in, say, Washington. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
You never know how that could.
I just think like
Yeah.
you look at a goal like he gave up. We're doing this podcast in the heels of a Boston win in Edmonton, where the first 3 goals of the game, 2 of them are very. The first one, I mean, you cannot let in. It's a floater from the blue line.
Nobody lets that in.
I
and
mean,
he
I
lets
wonder
those in consistently. He did it
He
in Phoenix
does.
last week.
He does, and now you wonder what people around the league view him as, because that's his highlight reel. His
To
highlight
me,
reel.
Yeah.
it's like it just
Exactly. The
instantly I
GM
look at
see
that,
that.
and I'm saying there's a goalie that's just lacking focus
Mhm.
and enough focus to be focused even when there's like nothing going on in the game, to be focused to stop that.
That's right.
He just doesn't have enough focus to be where he needs to be at.
Yeah.
to
I
be
don't
able
like.
to-
I don't like that. He seems to need to be challenged every time. When he was playing in tandem with Habibul, and he was reasonable, he was sufficient, and then it was like, okay, we've brought in LaBarbera, who boy,
He's done
okay,
at the end of
yeah,
you couldn't
LaBarbera's
give him
done.
away on
but
waivers.
they bring in
There's a
LaBarbera to
team-
play
yeah.
behind him, and it's like, okay, Dubnyk, here's the reins. You've got the net. Show us what you can do, and comes out and plays that flat.
But you know, the biggest concern to me is 5 games into the year, he lets in that goal from like behind the blue line, right?
Mhm.
Just past center, and then you see it consistently. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. You see this consistently in the next couple games. People start firing shots from back there.
Oh yeah,
That's almost like an embarrassment.
They're
It's
scouting
one
them,
thing
yeah.
to complain
Yeah. Well,
complain
Boston
about the
even
rebounds
today was
on your
sorry.
goaltender. Oh, that's okay. It's one thing to complain about the rebounds that your goaltender's giving up, but it's another thing when they're shaking shots
when they're not even
from
giving a
behind the
rebound.
blue,
'cause it's
blue
in.
line.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
like exactly. Today, Boston was doing all kinds of knuckle pucks from the no zero
Just getting
angle.
it all on net. Yeah.
I saw lots of shots from behind like our own red
The
line.
Phoenix dumping once again.
Yeah.
Mike Ribeiro was dumping it
Yeah.
in to go for a line change. Goes in the net.
So
Well, let's face it, it's
obviously,
just-
teams see that Dubnyk's starting and they just say shoot the puck on the net.
So we keep Brizgalov.
We keep
I'm
Brizgalov.
fine with Backman on a 2-way again.
Yeah, Backman on
And
a
I think
two-way.
he'd sign it. You trade Dubnyk. You
Dubnyk,
do.
if you can get something,
The-
anything
you
for him
can.
at this
And
point.
As a UFA, I wouldn't even bring him back.
LaBarbera, we don't need to worry about. He'll be done at the end of the year. He'll never be in Oilers Silks again.
And then you got Buns,
Then you got so let's.
who's
I
a
like,
bit of a wild card.
yeah, I like talking about Tyler Buns because he had so much of a he had so much of an upside.
And
even 2 or
such
3 years
a
ago.
bad season last year
And then
that it,
2
it
bad seasons in
completely
the
derailed if he'd
ECHL
ever
and
been
in
in
the
the league.
AHL.
Yeah.
Just it's
Actually,
terrible.
it's funny. I could bring up the Devils again. It's kind of reminiscent of Jeff Frazee in the system with New Jersey. What happened was he had an incident where a skate kind of like hit his jugular. It
Yeah, but
wasn't as
Buns didn't have
dramatic.
anything wrong with him.
No,
though.
but like his just the same thing as like it could be a matter of the focus as well, right? Like for your game to drop that dramatically to not even get.
And
a
he
position.
admitted that, though. That's what I like about him, and I like keeping him around in the minor system for at least another year to see what he does, because he admitted he was the first guy to say he needed to lose some weight, he needed to become more agile and refocus on the game. He was the first guy, and he brings it up in every interview. And he's played better this year. He's got a winning record.
He's played better.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm
he's played
so
to his
happy we
potential.
traded Olivier Waugh.
Yeah, Olivier
was-
Waugh was
That was a
just
bad
train
pick.
wreck.
It was a bad pick.
And now we get to look at Laurent
Laurent
Brossois.
which we all know from the Oil Kings, Memorial Cup goalie. They didn't win it. He brought him there. They won the championship here in the Western Hockey League, but he's been very consistent in all the
they
games
got
I've seen
there
him play.
twice,
Yeah.
didn't they? Twice.
Yeah. He's going to fill out and he's going to get better. I really like that trade. Looking back on it
Yeah.
now, I really like that move. I think he's our best prospect going forward as a starting goalie.
So let's compare then our goaltending situation to Los Angeles. I know that the goalies are all injured as hell right now, but they've got Jonathan Quick, Ben
And
Scrivens.
Jonathan Quick's been out.
He's been out for a while.
And-
So you'd think that
and-
would
and
hurt
Jones.
the Kings.
Jones.
And it's incredible, like the slack that Scrivens can pick up.
Yeah,
Like,
but
what
Jones
is he
has
ta-
won 3 games straight and had
4.
2 shutouts. 4 games straight
No,
with
two
2
shutouts.
shutouts.
No, exactly though.
And that's
Like
their third string
And he's
goalie.
stealing games.
Yeah, third-
He's stealing
stealing
games.
games.
it's like
As a
Nashville a
third
couple
string.
years ago. You know,
Exactly.
when they had Lynn back and Renee, and like Renee
Well,
would
when
go
Renee
down,
got
Lindback
injured,
would get shutouts.
He
You know?
won. He won 9 out of 11. When
And
Renee-
people would make the argument that but the Kings, their defense is better and blah blah blah. But if you look at those 3 wins, it's 2 shutouts.
It's their agility
look
and
at the
their
shots
focus.
that he
Yeah.
took.
Yeah.
30 plus
true.
shots in all 3 of those games. It's not like the Kings
Yeah.
played stellar defense in front of them.
Here's what we're goalies though. So we've established that we like Brizgala.
Yep.
Jonas Hiller's a UFA. Do you throw 5 at 5 at him?
It depends what Brizgalov wants.
Brizgalov won't be more than 2 again.
So,
There's
but
no way anyone else is calling.
but if you know Brizgalov's is gonna sign, or if you have a feeling he's gonna sign, or if he does sign for even 3 or 4, let's just say that you could spend that money with the cap going up
Cap's
next
going
year.
up $10 million.
You could spend that money elsewhere. The
Like-
free agent
like-
market.
You can spend it
Oh.
elsewhere, but
Truthfully,
the free agent market's not there. Unless Dan Girardi or Dion Phaneuf hits the
We need-
market,
we
the
need
money's
some.
not there. There's nobody to spend it on. You got to go goaltending up. For me, I'm throwing the money at Hiller.
Oh,
Yeah.
we gotta find some way to get in
there's-
defense. Like,
There's
yeah,
a
that's
number.
the bottom
There's your
line for
number
me.
1 goalie.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't need Hiller. We've got enough vertigo on this team as it is.
Yeah, there's a number 1 though. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you try saying he's not a number 1. He's at least a 1A.
yeah.
Oh,
and then
he's definitely
a
number 1.
1B is Brizgalov. Like that's
Oh, no, Hiller's number 1.
100% better
I can agree
goaltending
that
duo than we went into with Dubnyk and LaBarbera this year. And it's going to cost you $8 million a year to do it with the new cap. You know, that's roughly 14% of your cap.
Like
That's
I've
not
never
awful.
seen it where like so many situations in the league at one time with goaltending, and a lot of these elite teams or semi-elite teams will actually have these random goalies come up out of nowhere. No one expects them. Like there's a guy I can't even pronounce his name. I don't even know who he is in Washington right now. He's 2-0. The guy's got. I'm pretty sure he's got a shutout. He's got 2 wins already in 2 straight starts. You know what I mean? Like just the starts that it's
It's 11.2%.
and it
That's the thing about
it
goaltending
sucks.
is goaltending is kind of a crapshoot.
It makes
so hard to predict who's going to be elevating their game to that
Yeah, but
level.
if Jonas Hiller's done it for the last 6 years, it's not really predicting at that point the guy can do it at
Yeah.
the NHL
No,
level.
with
Even
Hiller
with
for sure,
vertical,
I
he
agree
can
with
do it
that,
at this
uh,
level. So I don't know if it's predicting. I think that's getting a starting guy who's going to be available.
Yeah.
The
Well,
main
that-
concern I
there's no
have
way
with
they re-sign
goaltending,
him.
the main concern I have with goaltending is that we've been talking about goaltending being an issue as an entire organization for how many years?
Since Dwayne Rollison Cup run.
Yeah.
Because Dwayne Rollison was not fantastic after that Cup run.
well.
He was a good goalie. He was our number 1, but
We-
he was not fantastic.
We went out and got Habby Bullen as a bridge
Yeah.
kind of guy to teach Doobie the ropes, but Doobie never took him.
No, and we've been putting so much stock. We traded Delorier,
Yeah.
we traded Garand, and we put all this faith into Devin Dubnyk, who didn't prove it. I never really put any effort into looking up his stats. He has never had a winning record. In the minors, he had a losing record. In the AHL, he had a losing record. In the NHL, he has a losing record.
People
This
just-
guy's never been a winner.
These people look at him and see his size, and
He's
they
a first
So-
round pick, and he's never been a winner.
So
Why are we putting stock into losers?
So
We're-
what-
losing mentality keeps going.
So necessarily, I mean, speaking about that, I mean, we don't have to always take the jump for Hiller when we've got Brizgalov sitting in the palm of our hands, and this guy's been elite goaltender. He had a Hart Trophy conversation talks, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it doesn't mean that he's going to be at that same status again, but you know what? If this is going to give him some kind of confidence boost, I'll tell you when he gets back, he's going to do well.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit of weight off my shoulders. I'm still pissed
Well,
off.
that's the
as
thing.
I'm
I
always.
still
noticed
spending
when-
money on goalie. If I'm the
Yeah.
GM, I'm still doing it though. I'm still
noticed
taking the
when
risk. You
Brizgalov
can
was
move
in net-
Hiller at 5 at 5.
I noticed when Brizgalov was in net that I wasn't like closing my eyes when
Every
shots were
shot.
on net.
You
Yeah.
weren't worried
Yeah.
about them gaining the zone.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the defense responded because they
I
were
think
like,
the
"Oh, we've got
team looked a lot
yeah,
more
we've got
comfortable with a real
Brizgalov back
goalie."
there." They
Yeah.
were more comfortable.
yeah.
I think that's why the team's getting along with him so well is because they feel comfortable around
Yeah.
the guy. He's a veteran goalie.
he
in
makes
this league.
good saves, makes timely saves.
Yep.
He knows what's expected of him.
And if you talk to all his old coaches, and I really like what Dave Tippett said, he said that they really made him into this character on HBO.
Yeah.
Dave Tippett really liked him.
Yeah, and
And he talked to Randy Carlisle was his coach in Anaheim. They talked to him as well, and he had nothing but positive things to say.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that says more for the character than
Yeah.
a 6-episode season we watched of him on HBO.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
I think
funny,
the
like,
Flyers
the
played
whole
the situation
hockey
all
world
wrong.
is so scared of like media, like
Look at
The way
Yakupov's
that-
goal celebration. The hockey's scared
Yeah.
of everything.
yeah.
What are we, like?
They
what are
don't
we
want
turning
their
If there's a
players
story
to
to
can't tuck
tell.
your jersey.
yeah, they don't want their players
Seriously.
to talk
Jerseys, yeah.
anymore, and it's kind of detrimental to
Twitter.
the.
Enstrom never follows that rule.
Yeah.
It's
Tucks his
just that
jersey.
if there's a story to tell, they're gonna go after it, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
way it is.
of course,
But
but I mean,
It's unfortunate because now well, I guess it's kind of.
Would you
a
just
byproduct
really
of
use
everything.
It's Unfortunate in the Unfortunates
I
podcast?
just did, yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll add a sound effect right there.
I was wondering about that. Are you going to
Da-dum.
add sound effects, or am
I'll-
I doing my own during this?
I've been banking on you doing your own the whole
Okay.
time.
They're coming.
They're mostly just beer openings. None of those,
And
please.
that-
Disturbed just showed up. For the next 40
Welcome to
minutes
the
of the
party.
podcast, we're just going to listen to Disturbed.
So I want to talk about now our organizational defense. We talked a little bit about Marinson playing some pretty solid D and then getting sent down. We talked. I don't think we mentioned about Fadoon.
We did, yeah. I made some
Fadoon.
comments about it.
Fadoon scoring a couple goals and getting sent down.
2 goals on 3
Clefbaum,
shots
Yeah,
and getting sent down.
Clefbaum being called up and then not played and then sent down.
Sending the right message. Look what we sending Pyarvi the same message. Look how he turned out.
Yeah. Well, Perron.
No,
how
but
he
yeah,
turned
well,
out.
that's- I mean, if we can flip Marinson for Weber, then we got the same thing going here. But seriously, that this organization does that continuously. Anton Lander, Magnus Pyarvi, Martin Marinson, Taylor Fadoon. We're starting to do it with Clefbaum now. Can somebody please come teach our organization how to treat prospects?
What-
Detroit
what-
would never do this.
we should
They'd
call
be
San
upfront
Jose
with
and
their
see what they have to
prospects.
say
This
about
is-
that. Yeah.
San Jose, Detroit,
Yeah.
Boston's another good
Chicago.
one. Chicago. These teams keep calling up Nashville with their defense. These teams keep calling up random players we've never heard of, but have been in the organization for years, following the path that they put
Yeah.
out for them,
Tommy
and they're
Wingles.
ready to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
These guys, they call them up, send them down, call them up, send it down. Play 2 games, you play good, go back down.
Yeah,
It's not the right
doesn't do-
message.
it
They
doesn't
don't-
do
they don't know
anything
what they're
for
doing. It
you.
does
I think
nothing.
I think it's actually negatory.
And before
Like,
we
it's-
sent Martin
it-
Marinson down, they benched him last game.
It's almost
So
embarrassing.
he missed an AHL game sitting on the bench here doing nothing,
the
sitting up
Clefbaum
in the
thing
press
is just
box.
embarrassing
Exactly.
to me.
The
So
Clefbaum thing, he
it's
missed 2
disgusting.
games. He missed 2 games.
It's horrible.
How has Clefbaum played in the AHL this year?
Minus 12. He's been minus 12 in his last 12 games. He started fine. They put him down to the 3rd pairing, and he's been bad. He's been
Mhm.
readjusting, but
He's young. I mean,
Why call
that's
him
all.
up then?
Here come the excuses,
No,
boys.
no,
I
I'm-
call him up.
Just saying,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Show you some excuses.
it's
I
gonna
just think
happen.
it's,
I was
it's
just in
funny
the pool.
because I think it's funny just because I agree. I think Clefbaum probably should have been in the lineup to start the year. Well, he's come back from the injury, but
He
you know
looked
we've
fine
kind
in
of
the
dawdled
eight-
with him.
Yeah, he looked
But
fine.
at some degree, he has to take ownership of his own play.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If he's not playing that well in the AHL, why are we going to give him a shot in the NHL?
At this point, yeah.
I don't think he's complained. I don't think he's been a guy who's complained that he's
No, I don't
playing
think
down
he's
there.
complained, but I don't think his play has shown that he's NHL caliber.
He was the first to say that the AHL wasn't a bad idea, that he needs to adjust the
Mhm.
North American game. I don't think he's worried about it. I think
Yeah.
he's fine with the way it's going. Remember, they wanted to bring him over. Tambellini wanted to bring him over last year.
Mhm.
Before his shoulder injury, they wanted him to come play for the Oilers. And Clefbaum said no and stayed in
Yeah.
Europe and played 1 more year in Sweden, where he was more comfortable and wanted to hone his skills a little bit more. I think this is a guy who knows where he's at, and when
Mhm.
he's ready, the organization
Yeah.
will know he's ready.
Complete polar opposite of like a guy like Linus Omark, right? Like he's got
exactly
this
the
guy
opposite.
is ready.
Yeah.
Put him in,
He
coach.
talks about himself in the 3rd position like that too.
Yeah.
This guy is ready.
This guy is ready. Spinoramas for days.
Yeah.
So we talked about the goaltending depth in the organization. We talked about the defense. Let's talk about our 4th line and compare it around the league.
Oh.
So Will Acton, go.
Anton Lander should have started the year here as well. We went to every preseason game, you and I, Tim.
Yep.
Clefbaum should have played. Nurse should have got 9 games, and Lander should have started the year.
I definitely
Will
don't doubt
Acton
that-
got the job over him because the assistant coach, who looks like an egg with eyes, put him in the lineup instead.
to be fair though, Will Acton did have a really, really strong training camp. I did look over a couple.
Strong
things.
for what? Strong for an AHL 2-way player. The guy has never even scored points in the minors to even
I'm not-
justify him signing and getting a chance in the NHL.
I'm
I'll
just
have
saying
you know he
his
had the
dad's a
assist
coach.
on the first goal of the year for the Oilers.
And that's
Yeah.
Luke Gazik's only goal?
Yeah.
Gazik's been great in his
Gazik's
fights.
been good.
Fantastic. He's got heart. He's been skating. I like
Yeah.
him much better than Ben Eager or Steve McIntyre.
Oh yeah.
Brendan, I thought you had some good words on Gazdik's
Oh
fight
hell's
today.
yeah. Hell's yeah. I mean, anybody that's gonna stand there and like trade punches with Lucic and like live to tell the tale and like walk to the penalty box and with your own strength.
Well,
I
there's
mean,
a guy who
He
knows
fought
what he's doing.
McGrattan earlier and Richard
Yeah.
Clune
The
earlier
guys
in
he
the year
stood-
too.
I-
These are
he-
tough guys.
he stood with all the guys, the best fighters
Yeah.
in the league.
And not only
already.
That's
that,
all
but
we-
he knows the value of taking Lucic off.
Yeah,
He does.
that's awesome. That's
And
the
I
top
like
6
that
forward
he can stay.
for a fourth.
He
line.
can stay.
Gazdik-
Anton Lander should have started the year.
I agree. I still agree with you, Tanner. I'm just saying that You know, I mean, Acton was still, you know,
I think
he's still a
after
good
many
player,
a year,
but,
we finally found our tough guy.
but I definitely agree that it should have been so soon where he was thrown into the mix. You know,
Yeah, he was thrown in 2 years early, Lander, but this should have been his year. The other problem I have with Will Acton is, once again, Aikens didn't do his homework coming into the year on purpose, which Tim's brought up to me many a times, and it's hurt him because he knew Will Acton's play and brought him into the NHL instead of using one of our good blue chip prospects in Anton Lander. Who's playing right wing this year? Who are we going to say is the right wing? Smith?
Jones, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
Jo-
well,
Yeah.
Smith should be there.
and
you
look
know.
how
Smith's the left winger, though.
we couldn't even give Jones away on waivers, but look how we talk about this. We said Jones, Smith, like we're not impressed at all.
So tell
No.
me a fourth line in the NHL that is
Boston,
Boston.
you know, Gregory Campbell. I've seen Kelly play down there, but
Yeah.
Gregory Campbell, you're going Sean Thornton when he's not suspended, and one of the rookies, either Caron or
Yeah.
Soderberg, and you know what? And they are rough and tough to play against. They put up points. They can
Yeah.
all skate. They can all
They can all
fight, and they
cycle.
all finish their checks.
Yeah.
They wear down most teams' top lines
Mhm.
if they get a chance.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up because they've been playing the last 2 games here. Have tons of points. Nashville's Paul Gaustad, 60% on the draws, number 1 in the league. So not only do they get the puck, they keep it because they got Richard Clune who can fight. The guy can skate. He's 26 years old only. And Matt Hendricks. Matt Hendricks been in the league for a long time. Veteran guy. All of them can beat you up, and you cannot get that puck back after Paul Gaustad wins the draw.
Yeah, there's a couple different things. Like, there's so many teams that run through my head. Like, you think of the San Jose's.
San
and
Jose's a good one.
even in, like Minnesota, like guaranteed you can name maybe 2 of their defensemen, nobody else. But at the same time, all their fourth line, grind line guys. We got Heatley playing third or fourth line now because they
He was
got so
playing
much depth
fourth,
up
yeah.
front.
Well, he's an
Right.
all-star.
Like, they're starting to score. Damn,
Yeah.
all-star. But even like a guy like Ryan Carter in New Jersey, I know I keep going back to
Steve
this.
Bernier is very good there,
But
too.
like those guys were the depth guys that made the 2012 run possible in that way, right? And you know you need to
Chicago
have that
Last
in
year,
order.
Victor Stahlberg was on the 4th line.
Exactly,
In the cup run.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Where did Bickle start? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Bickle, or you know,
Bolig.
So my question then, I guess, is: do you have to sculpt a fourth line? Is there a way to put a fourth line together?
You have to scalp it. You do.
Yeah.
You have to
Be-
sculpt this thing.
so-
You have to get the right.
So what do you
guys.
want ideally? Then? You want checkers,
You need a You start with a center
What
who
if-
can win draws.
a center who can win draws, a
Boyd,
fighter,
Boyd Gordon will be a very good 4th line center for the Oilers 2 years from now.
a fighter who
when
can,
he's
Yeah.
not
a fighter who
diving
can
in third.
play some.
A fighter who can play someone. I think we have that in Gazdic. I
Gazdic
really
can
like
play
his
a little
look.
bit.
I like
Yeah.
to see him
He's
play.
not McIntyre.
like even if you if you get
You mean that in
somebody-
a good way, right?
Yeah, I
the
meant
way
that in
you
a good
said
way.
that was a little bit bold.
I mean, he's no McIntyre. And
He's
then,
no Stortini.
So we've got centerman who can win faceoffs, a fighter who can play, energy checking winger.
But they need to be able to put up points.
So would it be
Like, one
fair
of
to
the
say that,
things-
like, okay, Boyd Gordon, Gazdic, and like Ryan Jones? That's
Like
a
a-
fourth
I
line.
think
Ryan
that's a
Jones
good
has to
start.
go.
Well,
You think?
I don't
we
think
can
he does
upgrade-
anything
if
to
we can upgrade
improve
him
the
into
team. I
something.
don't think he does anything to improve it.
if
Bryce?
there's like I like to mold after this because like a guy like Ryan Malone, for example, he's been tossed around to plenty of different teams,
He makes way
teams.
too much for a 4th line.
I'm saying
Cap's
a guy
going
like
up.
Ryan
4
Malone.
million up.
I'm not saying Ryan
Fourth
Malone
line
in
player.
particular, but a guy like him who can put up numbers, doesn't matter what line he's on, he's still going to get he's going to get the job done. And he's got some size, he's even got quite a bit of skill. We just need to find like that gem, like that Rich Peverly, or someone like that we can actually, put
That's
it in
what
there,
good
fit
teams
the
have.
piece of
We
the
don't
puzzle.
have that right now.
so where are those guys found?
Honestly, they're not found
Ooh.
through trade most of the time.
They're
It's
developed.
developed through draft. That's the bottom line.
Or Dale Talon gives
trade
them away at
deadline.
half their salary cap hit.
Honestly, you can think of a lot of teams that have like added just like small players and trade deadline, like not necessarily the fourth line on forwards, but like the Brad Stewart from you joined the Red Wings and they won the cup.
It's
that
been
year,
a
you
long
know?
time since we were adding at the trade deadline, though, which might not
Yeah.
help the problem.
I think we used to think that we added at the trade deadline, but in
Yeah,
reality, they weren't
Like,
additions
well,
at
it's
all.
not really an addition
remember
if
the
it's not helping
Visnovsky
us.
trade? We gave away Matt Green and Jared Stoll. How good would those guys be on this team
Not
right
to
now?
Pretty good.
Visnovsky's. That was
They'd be perfect. What we're
Hey,
that
missing
was
right
that
now.
was
follow
the
that.
Ryan
Let's
Whitney
There's
follow
trade.
that.
There's a fourth line right there. Freaking
Let's follow that trade that
Oh,
trade
no.
because I think that's a good point
You're
to
right.
look at. So we started off with Stoll and Green, who are both Edmonton Oiler developments.
Oh, that was a Wisnowski trade, wasn't it?
And they
Holy-
they got turned into Wisnowski, and then we
Okay.
flipped Wisnowski for Ryan Whitney, and then Ryan Whitney turned into
Exactly. that's
Ryan
what-
Whitney.
Just a. If you look at it,
Turned
you know,
out he
hindsight's
joined the
2020. If you look at
Florida
it that way, it's
sideshow.
just a bust. But
well, it turns to now Stanley Cup champion,
And exactly
Stoll
what this
Green.
team is missing.
a hard-nosed defenseman, and a third-line
Center. Yeah.
who can actually score back
Who can
this day.
play.
And he's high on percent, like face-off.
Remember when McTavish took the job too? He was saying
Top
there's
10
a lot
maybe
of
in the league?
players on this team that the best we could hope for last year was they wouldn't hurt us. There can be no more one goal scorer guys. We need everyone to chip in and we need everyone in the play.
Yeah.
You look at our fourth line and that's exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
but with
Yeah.
different players. It was Eric Belanger last year.
yeah.
It was Ryan Smith, and it was Ryan Jones.
I think yes, it was, but I think the point here is that we're starting to eliminate those plugs. We still
we
have
we
some.
are, but how much better was Will Acton, Jesse
Over Belanger?
Joensuu, as a contributing to the team?
Yeah.
Nothing. There's no difference in
Yeah,
the
I
stats.
like
There's no difference
Joensuu.
in the- I like him
He
too,
has
but he's not
games.
contributing
Yeah.
anything. I like him if he scored ever.
Uentu has
Yeah.
two
he shows
goals
up
on
on
the
as
year.
much as
preseason,
Hemsky.
I was like,
yeah, he
yo,
shows up like Hemsky, 2 goals on the year. I'm not
Yeah.
impressed by that. You need fourth liners to contribute. Paul Gostad has 5 goals and 60% on the
Yeah.
draw.
Yuensu was shocking to me because in preseason he looked outstanding. He looked as good as Perron in preseason.
He
Like,
did.
He was amazing.
Mhm.
And
You're
then
playing against mostly
what
AHLers, so
he
that's
got
where
he
you
got that
really
early
look at the
injury, and then
back.
after that early injury, it was like not the same player.
So I just want to do some rapid fire questions here. Who's leading the Oilers in goals right now?
David Perron.
Braun.
Who's leading the Oilers in assists right now?
Ooh,
Carcavello.
No, that's
Hop.
Eberle.
Eberle.
Nugent Hopkins.
oh.
I was gonna
Very
say
good.
Hopkins, but then I thought of
Who is not leading? Well, I guess leading on the loser side of the plus minus.
Yakupov still?
Yakupov.
What does he have?
Is it 13?
Minus 16.
15.
Minus 18.
Holy
man,
shit!
that's rough.
Wow.
Well, that's
Wow.
Wow.
Look,
Wow.
look at who he started the year with on a
Yeah,
line.
he's been on some rough lines.
All right.
It was
let-
bad to start
and I
the
want
year.
I want you guys to pick out the top 3 leaders in PIMS this year
In the league or Oilers?
in the Oilers.
Be Luke Gazdick, number
Luke
1.
Gastick, number 1.
Ryan Smith for hookings and slashings.
Oh,
and
he's
getting
got-
to the plays.
Because he's
I'd
all
say
stick with it.
Ference.
Ference is number
Yeah, for
2
sure.
and number 3.
Perron.
Perron.
Ah.
Guy's in every play. He's yelling at people's faces.
Those are
he's
that's
taking
yeah.
off
That's a
good
different.
players.
That's a
He's
different. A whole different. Yeah.
He's a
Hey.
perfect addition to our
If
top
you're,
6. That was a great trade.
You're top 3 in PIMS, and you're also leading the team in goals. You're doing something right.
I don't notice him doing like dirty plays in the offensive zone either. His
No.
his
No.
PIMs seem to be pretty.
They're
The-
necessary.
Neutral.
He takes some pretty necessary hookings. Like it's going to be a 3-on-2 or something, and
He's those-
he'll hook a guy down because
He's
he
that
knows it's gonna-
agitator, like he's a
yeah.
Marchand,
The
right? Like
problem
he's
with
just,
that
he pisses
trade
people off.
Is that the 2nd round pick, the hockey gods are going to give St. Louis Blues another David Backes in
Yeah.
the 2nd round.
Probably.
That's just the way
Yeah.
it's going to go because that's what St. Louis
It's not
does.
phasing them at all. They're
Yeah.
rolling. Like,
Well, and
so
look at what St. Louis doesn't miss Perron really. They miss him a little, but I mean,
No,
they're rolling.
fine
They're
without him.
rolling.
Tarasenko's doing quite well filling his role.
There's some
Alexander
teams
Steen.
that are good at drafting.
Look
There's
at
some
Steen.
teams-
Like who saw Steen doing this year?
That's
Yeah.
how we got in this mess.
Is drafting.
Drafting. It's been better. But
yeah.
we were talking when Pitlick finally got an NHL chance.
I
That was
know.
one of the first we've seen in modern Oilers where we've seen a guy get drafted, go through the system, and then get to play a couple games as an Oiler.
Yeah.
And what he did, play 3 games, scored a goal, and got sent down
I think
after
he
his
had
injury.
one. No, I think he just played the one. He scored and then he
And
got
then got
injured in
sent
that game.
And then got sent down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
don't
unfortunate.
score when you get called up,
I
and
guess
don't
the-
not
that's the
score when you
moral.
get called up.
If you
Yeah.
play good, you're gonna
Can't do
get your
anything
ass
right.
sent down.
Make sure your dad's a coach on the team, and you'll get to play.
Don't play your ass off, or else it's gonna get sent down.
You'll get sent down.
Yep.
Our HL team should be better than they are because when they get called up, they're one of the best Oilers.
Yeah, it's funny.
I believe that kind of wraps it up for our podcast. This has been Unfortunate Hockey. You've got Tanner, Tim, Brendan, and Bryce.
Peace out.
Aye.